Welcome to the History AI podcast, where the past comes alive with facts, anecdotes, and a dash of humor. Here are your hosts, Chuck and Marco.
Welcome back, history buffs, to another episode of the History AI podcast. I'm Chuck.
And I'm Marco. Chuck, have you ever been to a fancy ball and had to save a priceless painting on the way out?
You know, Marco, that's just a regular Tuesday for me. Why do you ask?
Because today we're diving deep into the life of Dolly Madison. The woman who did just that and so much more.
Ah, Dolly Madison. Not to be confused with those ice cream cakes, right?
Exactly. Although both are absolutely delightful, but Dolly had a bit more historical weight.
Let's dive in.
Born as Dolly Payne on May 20, 1768, in Guilford County, North Carolina, she grew up in a Quaker community. Did you know, Chuck, that she initially married a Quaker lawyer named John Todd?
I did, and they had 2 kids together, but sadly, yellow fever claimed the lives of John and their younger son in 1793. Quite a tragic start.
It was. But her life took another turn when she met James Madison, the future 4th President of the United States. Their courtship story? Worth a movie.
A tiny anecdote here. Apparently, Dolly's friend, Aaron Burr, introduced them. Yes, the same Aaron Burr from that famous duel.
Talk about 6 degrees of historical separation. Now, let's get into the meat of things. After her marriage to James Madison in 1794, Dolly Madison became a force in American politics.
Ah, yes. While James was off drafting what would become the U.S. Constitution, Dolly was holding her own, hosting parties and salons where politicians and influencers of the time would gather.
People don't realize how much of politics happens in such social settings. Dolly had a talent for creating a welcoming atmosphere. Some even say that her salons contributed to easing political tensions of the time.
And she was more than just a hostess. Dolly was also a partner and confidant to James. Their partnership played a pivotal role in shaping America's early days.
Exactly. Now, moving forward to her role as the First Lady. Dolly redefined it. From redecorating the White House to her weekly drawing room gatherings, she made the White House the social hub of Washington, D.C.
She also set many precedents for future First Ladies. For example, she was the first First Lady to respond to a petition, highlighting her accessible approach.
But perhaps the most iconic Dolly Madison story is when the British attacked Washington, D.C. in 1814.
Oh, this is a favorite. As the British were approaching the White House, Dolly refused to leave without the full-length portrait of George Washington.
Picture this, with British troops coming, Dolly ordered the frame to be broken and the canvas saved. That's some serious dedication to history.
And speaking of dedication, let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsor.
Introducing the game changer in energy boosts, Strike Force Energy. Elevate your drinks without the sugar, without the calories. Whether you're hitting the gym, the office, or the great outdoors, a dash of Strike Force Energy supercharges your drink and you. Dive into strikeforceenergy.com to explore. And hey, here's a little spark. Use code UTSALAX24 at checkout for a cool 20% off. That's UTSALAX24. Strike Force Energy, the power-up you've been waiting for.
Alright, we're back. Now, let's touch on Dolly's legacy. Despite James Madison passing away in 1836, Dolly remained an influential figure in D.C., continuing her social and political endeavors.
Her later years were challenging financially, but her influence was undeniable. When she passed away in 1849, both houses of Congress unanimously approved wearing badges of mourning for 30 days. A recognition of her significance.
Quite right, Chuck. But beyond the accolades and recognitions, it was Dolly Madison's ability to foster relationships and bridge divides that really stands out.
Agreed. While most remember the act of saving Washington's portrait or her impeccable style, it's her role as a unifying figure in a budding nation that cements her place in history.
Well said, Chuck. She was the glue in a fracturing society. Plus, she knew how to throw a good party.
True that. And just think, she did it all without Twitter or Instagram.
Can you imagine Dolly Madison's Instagram though? It would be lit.
It sure would. Well, that wraps up this episode of the History AI podcast on the fabulous Dolly Madison. A woman of style, substance, and serious dedication to her country.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. And remember, history isn't just in the past. It's all around us, waiting to be discovered.
Until next time, stay curious.